Hi, my name is Keith Mayerson. Welcome to My Modern Life. My new show here at Eller. It's November in the year 2010. This is a picture of the Karmapa, who is the leading inheritor of Buddhism. After the Dalai Lama dies, he's going to take over. And this is a picture that I generated from my own photo after being able to see the Karmapa live on his first trip to New York. Now, it's interesting that he's, if you believe all this, the reincarnation of the entity that's on the Tonka painting behind him. And just like in my last show, where the Dalai Lama at Radio City Music Hall, this is sort of the sequel in that I feel like he was very much in the same position as the Tonka painting figure. And just the warmth in a fusion, no matter what your religious beliefs or spirituality, hopefully permeates this picture and blesses the show, and hopefully is a good fight for all, and also represents a little bit who and what and where we are as a culture today, and who and what and where I am as a person in my thoughts and beliefs and ideas, which is what my modern life is about, and hopefully what this show espouses. So after you see this painting, you go into the main gallery here, and the first image that you see is this one, which is from the play Red, which was the hit Broadway show that starred Alfred Molina playing Rothko, who you see right here on stage. Now, when you walked into the theater, it was interesting because he was portraying Rothko, and he was sitting in his chair, smoking a cigarette, contemplating his painting. In the meantime, people sort of looked at him, but then they willfully ignored him. They're reading their playbills of who's who in the cast, and I thought it was just kind of funny. I've really fallen in love with Manet and the idea of modernity from his time, and it was about his subjective point of view that he was portraying in his pictures, but also the figurative narrative allegorical resonance of what his pictures portrayed, and their sort of subtle politics, their subtle satire about his world, and while they're very painterly and emotive, also he was telling a lot about his culture in the way that he was portraying his figures on his canvases. And so with that in mind, I was thinking about maybe a subtle commentary about how we've forgotten some ideas of modernity, but we still hold true maybe ideas of transcendence and the sublime, especially now that the attic show is open at the MoMA. And there's room a little bit in postmodernism for thoughts of transcendence. And yet we want content too. We want the idea that images can resonate beyond themselves. They aren't just hegemonic onto themselves like Rothko believed. And so hopefully this is sort of the have your cake and eat it too plan, where you can make something that's very painterly and about, for me as a son of a psychoanalyst, how my unconscious is able to leak through here and how subtly these things sort of break apart in other forms, but also that it resonates in terms of how it talks about our culture and where we're at and whether we're willing to contemplate a painting or contemplate ideas about painting. This is a little bit of an extended format. In my mind, it looks a little bit like a Rothko because you have this part, the prime meridian that's always in a Rothko, and this, and it is sort of a landscape that you enter into. It's a colorist flow of emotional feeling, and yet obviously it's pictorial, and it does have the kind of space that a Rothko painting would have, but yet you're aware that you're looking at it, and hopefully you can think and feel synesthetically about what it's about, but also hopefully it makes you think too. Next to the Rothko, we have this painting, which for the title My Modern Life is really about me. And you know, my idea is I've dealt a lot with appropriation in my time. I've had my sort of Warhol stage, and now slowly I've been integrating images from my own life and my own images, but this is really a show that's really about my life. I want to make it as real as possible, and rather than speaking through the avatars of other people and other things, sort of like when the Beatles, as a postmodern band in a way, weren't the Beatles, but they were Sgt. Pepper. It wasn't about their ideas, it was about Eleanor. It wasn't about them, it was about Eleanor Rigby, or Hey Jude wasn't necessarily about Julian Lennon, it was Jude. They were speaking through these vehicles. After the Beatles broke up and John Lennon was with Yoko Ono, he was really talking about himself and Yoko, and hopefully in the music it was like great enough, and hopefully the ideas and the emotion and feeling were profound enough that other people could find resonance with it too. Hopefully these images also have some universal in quotes quality. In any event, a lot of the paintings in this show relate to art history, and like the Karmapa with the Tibetan Tonka painting, the Rothko with the Rothko painting. This is my ode to Cezanne's Bader. But it's a picture of me at age 17 when my friend and I were going out west to California to see the Grateful Dead. But I wanted the ultimate high school photo, and so I had my Madras sport coat, very 1983, and my topsiders hidden in the trunk of our car, and we were in San Francisco, and I put the clothes on. I had my friend take these pictures of me posing like a GQ model. I didn't end up using this as my high school senior photo, but I always love this image for sort of its willful longing, and even though it's very self-aware, even in the pose of when I'm 17, I think there's hopefully a sweetness about a 17-year-old kid posing like a GQ model on the rocks in San Francisco, longing, hopefully, romantically for the life that hopefully I've been able to achieve so far. And I hope that he would be proud of me here. But it was really fun painting this painting and listening to the Grateful Dead again and thinking about where I was at age 17. This next image really propels me to my almost present. This is a picture of my husband, Andrew. Before we were married, we had been together now for about 18 years. This is about almost 5 years ago on our 40th birthdays. I had a show in Brussels, and we decided to have a 40th birthday blowout. His birthday is 4 days after mine, and we went to Paris. This was the halcyon days of '06, and so we had a weekend at the Ritz, and we were able to stay at the Proust room at the Ritz. Now, Proust is a great writer, of course, who changed literature. I've done paintings of him in the past. It was really neat to be able to stay in this room, but we just had the dinner of our life, and Andrew's incredibly happy. This is his Tintin watch from Brussels, and we're getting dressed to go to bed, but this was a magic moment that I always want to remember, and I had the camera and took this picture. This was an incredible tapestry. I think an Alexander the Great that was behind the bed. It was just really fun getting lost in the tapestry, hopefully letting my imagination sort of insert into what was really there. I almost see this as me, and this is Andrew, and this is our, exemplary of our wonderful weekend, and hopefully what we have achieved in our life, in our years together.